everyone. Good morning. My name is Joe Johnson. I'd like to welcome you all to Palmetto GBA and thank you for being here today and working with us to collaborate on improvements in the Medicare program. It's a very special day here at Palmetto GBA, not just because all of you are here, but it is also 50 years ago today, President Lyndon Johnson signed into effect the Medicare program into law. A year later, 1966, 19 million Medicare beneficiaries were enrolled in the program, and we actually began as the fiscal intermediary for the state of South Carolina processing Medicare claims. There have been a few changes since then, as you all know, working in this industry. Most importantly is today we are all part of the health care for 53 million Medicare beneficiaries, and that's just a really amazing number. It's a great program to take care of our elderly and disabled. I am going to be very short today with my comments. We've got a lot to cover. I'd like to thank you all again for coming today, and I'm going to turn it over to Ed Sanchez, who is the Jurisdiction 11 Program Manager. He has overall responsibility for our work we do with you guys as a AB MAC. So, Ed.
Good morning. How y'all doing today? I didn't know that Joe was quite the historian, but I guess he's a lot older than I am. So he would have remembered back in '65. I was just 4 years old at the time, Joe. So again, I want to echo Joe's sentiments and welcome all of you. I view all of you as our partners, whether it's CMS, whether it's all of you here, the provider community. We have our home health MAC collaborators. Obviously, the beneficiaries are part of the process as being our customer. And we always need to understand that the reason we are here processing claims, quite frankly, is the easy part of the job. The kind of situations or the complexity of Medicare that we deal with today, particularly the things that we will be talking about today, like face-to-face, is this complex morass of Medicare. You know, you talk about 1965, and Joe talked about change. You know, if you've been in Medicare even 3 years, it's changed. Change is a constant, and so with that being said, you have to change with the change, and that means process improvement, quality initiatives, and we here at Palmetto GBA, we embody that culture, we believe in that culture, and that's one of the things that we want to share collaboratively with all, whether it's what I call our frenemies, our peer competitors with the home health MACs, because we are in a competitive environment, but we believe it's like I'm going to liken it to the NFL Shield, and I'm going to apologize up front for being the manly talk football kind of analogy, but you know, CMS represents the NFL Shield, and we may all be competitors, whether it's in the provider community or whether it's among MACs, but we're here to do one thing, and that is to serve the beneficiaries, to serve the aged in terms of their health care problems. And if we do that right, then, you know, America will advance in terms of its health care issues. So today's conference, we believe, will be an enlightening experience. You know, for some of us, we'll be witnessing the testimony of, and I'm going to steal a line from my partner in crime, VP of Operations, Carol Sutton, who helps me with J11, testimony of born-again providers. And what she meant by that is, you know, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You think you know it all when it comes to Medicare, and as I said, I mean, even myself, every day I find myself surprised. It's very hard to implement policy that comes up from up high at CMS and execute that at the ground level. And that's true for us. That certainly is true for all of you. And we'll be hearing stories about folks who work processes that didn't even know each other. They were in silos within their organizations. It happens here, unfortunately, at Palmetto GBA. I'm sure it happens at the bureaucracy of CMS. I'm sure it happens in many of your organizations. But it becomes a beautiful thing when people start talking to each other about processes to get to a certain end game. And not only do you fight the fight to get to that end game, but you build partnerships and friendships through that battle. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the featured speakers and the pilot partners with respect to that testimony. And finally, well, no, I promised I wouldn't say that I'm stealing someone else's thunder, so scratch that. I'm really not a guy who follows notes, but I heard such great things yesterday at a pre-meeting that I wanted to steal from, and I decided I won't be a thief today, so I'll scratch that piece out. But I do want to say this. This is intended to be an interactive conference. It is not just the born-again providers speaking at y'all about the things that they learn, but it's an opportunity for you all to ask questions, because this really, at least our goal is that this becomes a public-private partnership. We cannot win the battle of billing errors and documentation errors alone. Y'all can't do it as providers alone. The MACs can't do it. CMS can't do it. We have to do it in a collaborative effort. And so the Organizational Process Improvement Coaching Project, which it was a great brainchild. In fact, it came, the genesis of it was when we had our Jurisdiction 1 contract in California. Dr. Harry Feliciano, Mike Barlow were all, I guess, the founding fathers, along with, I want to say, unfortunately, Dr. Fortuna, who just recently passed away, and I'd be remiss if I didn't include him in my remarks. You know, we tend to be very innovative, and I know it's trite to say, you know, we do things out of the box, but this really was a forward-thinking approach to our provider outreach and education, but involving the providers and seeing things through their eyes, through their business processes, to help them get better so we all can get better. And so if we all embrace that concept of process improvement, whatever it is in your you know, organization, you know, people call it TQM, Six Sigma, this, that, and the other. I mean, I'm not a quality management historian, and maybe Joe can talk about that. He's probably gone through more quality management process improvements than I have. But you take an MBA course, and they call it all these different things, but at the end of the day, it's about doing things right the first time. And if we embrace that philosophy, it will make all of our jobs easier. Trust me on that. So with that said, you know, again, we have all a vested interest in this fight. I look forward to meeting many of you and collaborating in making my job easier, because trust me, when provider billing errors occur and you are all unhappy and you start blaming others, please look in the mirror first before you pick up the phone and call Ed Sanchez, and really embrace what we will be talking about today. So with that, let me pass it on to Dr. Harry Feliciano. Thank you.